Welcome back to another Third and 30, September 11th, 2025. We
Never
got Mike
forget.
as usual. Yes, absolutely. Never forget. Was it 24 years now? I think we're old enough to remember where we were at that day. Maybe some of our audience isn't, but yeah, definitely never forget. If you're in the city ever, definitely worth checking out. I know Calvin, when he was in the city about 10 years ago, he checked it out when I was with them. But absolutely, absolutely going over to the memorial. So yeah, so we got Mike again, we got Calvin, and this time we got a special guest for the first time on video. Lawrence, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? How you doing?
Happy football weekend to everybody.
It was
Yeah.
it was
Uh,
so lit.
yeah, and I'm excited to discuss the first and now upcoming week of football already. It's pretty exciting. See a lot of things that I didn't expect, and I think a lot of people didn't expect. In general, this week it's going to be an interesting discussion.
So where should we start? I think we should start with Ravens Bills. So that game definitely lived up to everybody's expectations. Those two guys were duking it out for the MVP last year. Some people think Allen should rightfully deserved it. Some people think Lamar should have got his third. But I just love that rivalry, and they seem to be the two teams that can't break through, right? So to see them opening up on a classic game on that first Sunday night was pretty legendary stuff, especially the way the Bills won that late comeback. And it just shows again that the Ravens, I forget the wild stat, something, I think I heard the stat going back to 2021. I think it's a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Nobody has blown more of those games than the Ravens. And I think it's by a
I,
lot too.
And
I think they have like
So,
six.
it's
and it's
it's
by a lot. It's number one with a bullet for sure. So again, that questions I think a lot of I don't know. Some people have questioned Harbaugh about this. I don't know if fair or not fair. I'll let you guys decide. Calvin, what is your takes from this game?
Well, first of all, before I say anything, I think it was just an incredible game to watch. It reminded me a lot of when the Colts came back against the Buccaneers in 2003. I think we were down like
oh
35.
oh yeah.
We were down quite a bit, and we came back with like 3 minutes left, and we ended up pulling out the game, taking it to overtime, and then doinking in a field goal at the end of in overtime to win it. Um, so it was just an incredible game. Um, it's hard to place blame on anybody other than the defenses, just because both offenses played incredible, and it's easy to point at Derrick Henry and be like, "Hey, if you didn't fumble, you probably end up winning that game." I think a lot of people were questioning whether Harbaugh should have went for it on fourth down, before the final possession, where Buffalo clearly had momentum. Um, and they gave the ball back. But the flip side of that is the same thing can happen like in I want to say I don't remember if it was. I'm sure you guys all remember the game too. The Colts were playing the Patriots, and Bill Belichick went for it on 4th and 2. They didn't
Yes.
get it.
Oh yes.
They gave the ball back to Peyton. He drives down. He scores a touchdown with 13 seconds left, and they win. And he's never lived that decision down. So he was kind of damned if he did, damned if he didn't. But just the biggest takeaway that I had is both defenses are fucking cooked. Like I
Oh
know
oh
Buffalo more so. I was just kind of concerned because they don't really have any like big name players on their defense. Um, I think Ed Oliver is gonna turn. He's starting to turn the corner. I think he's gonna end up being a very good player. And I know they said Harrison was out, which was the Bills rookie corner that they drafted, who they're excited about. But Tre'Davious White being injured, you just signed him, and his injury history. You're gonna be Finnick quarter. Um, Taylor Rapp. All I saw was Taylor Rapp getting passed by Derrick Henry. It seems like every season now, there's just a highlight of him and that fucking Guardian helmet when somebody sprinting past him down the sideline for a 60-yard or 70-yard run. Uh, so I'm very concerned with the defenses on both sides. I think Baltimore will be able to probably pull it together just because they have a higher level of talent on the defensive side. But I was concerned for both defenses. Both offenses looked incredible. Um, and I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways is how I think that Josh is going to take it to another level this season. Lamar is already on that level, but I think that Josh is going to take another step, even though he won MVP last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to back, just because when he got the ball back, there was no question in my mind that he was going to lead them down the field and score a touchdown. Like I didn't question it at all. It was just like, is Baltimore going to get a chance to, are they going to run out the clock or are they going to have a chance to, respond? But just the throws that he was making, the adjustments that he's making on the fly, like he's from where he came in when he got drafted from Wyoming to where he is now, it's like night and day. And he's becoming more cerebral, more dependable. So I'm just excited. It's a pleasure to watch him play football. So, but like I said, my biggest takeaway is that I'm concerned on both sides of the defense is that I have a lot of question marks there.
So before I let you give your reaction to this classic game, I just wanted to reiterate that fact that I saw before. Actually, this is courtesy of Ben Solak. The Ravens have now blown 8 games since 2021 after reaching
Mm,
90% win probability.
wow.
Three more than any other team.
What the
So it's
hell?
not
Like
close.
in history or just like the
No,
century?
since 2021.
Oh, since 2021. Okay.
Yes, they've blown 8, and that's three more than any other team, 90% win probability. So,
Do
what
you
do
know
you
what's
think?
weird? Sorry, not to. No, I'm not trying to cut in Lawrence time or anything, but I just think what is weird is like when you look at it and it's a 14 foot, like even though it was 24-40, it didn't feel like that big of a gap. It just felt like the time, if they were going to have time, I didn't question if they were able to come back. I just questioned if they had enough time to do it.
And
Go ahead,
that's
Lawrence.
a testament to how much Allen has really grown as a passer and just as a player in general. What do you think, Lawrence? What did you think of the game? What was your
Well,
biggest takeaways?
well, I mean, Calvin hit it pretty much on the head for the most part. I mean, like this was just a matchup of two of the best in our game at the moment, I think, and Josh Allen, like he has said, he continues to make strides every season, it seems like. Is there something that improves just every year with him? I think he's one of the more coachable guys in the NFL. Um, his story is something like Calvin said from Wyoming. I mean, Wyoming was like one of two FBS schools that he even got an offer from in college, and people kind of forget that sometimes. So he basically like brought himself up from nothing essentially, and now has built himself into, if not maybe the top quarterback in football um, at this point in time. And it's a pretty incredible testament to his work ethic and I think just his general leadership qualities. It makes him special. And yeah, and but you like Calvin said, man, this defense for both sides it's just more and more concerning.
Host.
Baltimore is just this isn't the old Baltimore football that I remember. Um, this is more of a finesse team that Baltimore has now. I don't know if that maybe going too far to say that or
Not really. It's
um
very bend and don't break, and it's been
yes,
breaking.
yeah, that's the problem. And as I don't think they're as tough up front as they were in the past. And I think you're seeing the problems here now. Um, and they're just and it's actually pretty crazy. They asked Jerry Judy this week, are you how are you thinking about dealing with the Baltimore defensive backs? And he's like, I'm really not concerned. And I think that's kind of a testament to the allure that the Ravens have lost on the defensive side of the ball when that you
Ray
really
Lewis
use.
would have never let that fly.
Right, right. Like I think this is a testament to, yeah, how much allure they have lost on that side of the ball. Exactly right. They don't have a Ray Lewis like leader on that defense, Calvin. And you're 100% right. And that was actually kind of what I was getting to is I don't think they have that voice on defense. Maybe Hamilton, that's about it. But he's been hurt. He's tended to get hurt in his career, and when it's they need more than him to be a voice there. And
Yeah.
I think right now, I don't think you really have that. I don't think there's enough leadership in Baltimore besides him, besides Lamar, maybe Derrick Henry, but I don't think enough guys are stepping up. And I think you're seeing that in the Ravens blowing all these leads, and it's just they're not finishing games. Flat out, they're not finishing games, and that's gonna be a big problem. And it continues to show up. The playoffs have been just a nightmare for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Like we got to start having this dialogue, right? Like, is he never gonna really make this leap?
I,
Well, go ahead, Calvin.
what's the leap? What's the leap though? That's my question. Is because I in the when it comes to the playoffs,
I should
whether he
say
won what.
I should say not just Lamar. I should say the Ravens. I should correct
Okay,
myself on
yeah,
on that.
because when it comes, he's been the best player, like second or first or second best player the last 2 seasons for sure. And
I think
even
there's
in even in this game, he was incredible. The plays that he was making, he just
right.
and like I said, I don't. It's hard to place blame on one person, but if Henry doesn't fumble, in my mind, 100% they win that game.
It,
So
it
I
it
like
almost feels like the Ravens have they were kind of getting focused on building that offense up so much. I think they almost kind of lost track of their defense
their
in the
defense, but
process.
they have so many like the individual talents. They have so many talents on that. Kyle Hamilton could be the best safety in the league.
Oh,
Malachi Starks,
absolutely.
great rookie pick. I wish that we would have drafted him, and he should have probably got drafted higher than what he did.
Yep.
Um, and then Roquan Smith, great linebacker. But like you said, on the defensive line, like they
Yeah.
never were able to replace Haloti Nada on the
Yeah.
line. Um,
Right. No, they never
just
did.
yeah, so it's just it feels like I'm not used to going into games and being like, oh, if you could just hold. I've never watched the Baltimore game before,
Yeah.
like when I was a kid, and been like, hey, if you can hold them to 35 points, you should be able to win. Like 35 points, that would be the worst performance that they've ever
Right.
had.
Right.
The defensive coordinator would be fired if they gave up that many points. But it's just it's I'm not sure what it's like to be a Ravens fan. I don't know, but I'm sure it's extremely frustrating. It's like going from one end to the other. When you watch the Steelers, the Steelers defense has never like their staple has always been defense
Yes.
going back. And even to today, like even if the offensive struggles, when you had the Killer Bees and Big Ben there, their defense was still up to snub for the majority of the time they were there. But Baltimore, it just seems like they're going completely in the shitter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they have gone the opposite direction, but man, also though the Bills did not look good either on defense, like you said, man. The run defense especially. Whoa, boy.
yeah,
They were
yeah, it was
not
rough.
finishing plays. They lost contain all game on Baltimore. It's just horrible defense. I mean, it's stuff that coaching, you just got to get it into their head that you can't try to make the plays by yourself. Defense is such a team game. And then if one guy's not in contain properly, that could just screw up everything. Well, we saw that with Justin Herbert in that game with Chris Jones and what he did on that.
MVP season coming.
Yeah, we'll get there, but yeah, man, this was just an unbelievable testament to Josh Allen's clutch, abilities. I mean, just continues to over and over, do this. And, yeah, hasn't he not gotten to the Super Bowl yet? Sure, but he's had some pretty formidable games against some pretty formidable opponents in that run as well. So I know
And
I'm not
and
trying to make excuses, but it's hard when you're playing against some of the guys he's been playing with in the AFC.
and and the discourse around every game that I've watched, he hasn't I don't feel like he's been the reason that they lost. It's been because the defense isn't been good enough. Some questionable refereeing in some of them as well. But I
Right.
like I feel
But
like,
can
this
I say something though, Calvin?
Oh,
no.
At some
No, I'm just
point
kidding. Go ahead.
though, don't you have to not just be a reason not to lose? Don't you have to be a
You have
reason
to be the
because
reason you win.
you
Yes.
win? Yeah.
Yeah, I
You got
agree,
to
and I
start
think
doing that.
I think eventually that he's gonna. I think that this game is gonna be very good for his confidence just going forward in this season because I feel like there's a turning, and it's hard. I'm not saying Josh Allen is Peyton Manning or anything, but Peyton didn't win a playoff game until his 6th year. Um, so
Very good point.
it's his trajectory. Like he's not a he. I think that Josh Allen is going to end up being a all-time great quarterback if he's not already. I think he's one of he can end up in the top 10. He just had with one ring he could probably end up in the top 10 if he keeps going at the rate. But my question is his body going to break down? Because he likes to run and he likes to like do ISO powers and QB powers, and he takes a lot of hits sometimes. Um, but just the level of confidence that he should have after this game, it's like he's mastering his craft, and it's like it's like I said, it seemed inevitable this game. It seemed inevitable that there was nothing that you were going to be able to do to prevent him from winning that game. The throw he made to I forget who it was, but I think he switched out of something and then he threw like a corner out or something on the last drive. I was like, oh shit, like he's completely dialed in, like at a different level. And then he hit Keon Coleman. If Keon Coleman scores there, Baltimore still might be able to go down and score and whatever. But he was just dialed in on a level that I haven't seen, and I think that game, even though it's the first game of the season, I think it's going to give him a lot of confidence going forward to be like, hey, I'm never out of it, and just to be like, I'm that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, so going into the rest of the season, he's going to be like, I'm Josh Allen. Come and fucking stop me.
So let me just bring up one final question to you both before we move on. Okay, you say that, well, not I say or you say, the facts say that the Ravens have blown a lot of games since 2021. They haven't been back to a Super Bowl since 2012. And, a lot of people, and rightfully so, say, Lamar's lackluster performances in the playoffs. And, you had Mark Andrews last year. You had Zay Flowers, I believe the year before, making miscues. And then last night you had Derek, or not last night, but, Sunday night you had Derrick Henry. Um, at what point does this fall on the coach? Why is nobody, maybe I'm not seeing it. When does it fall on Harbaugh?
Oh,
He's the leader.
I've been touting this
Yeah,
I think
actually.
I
yeah.
yeah,
Where is it,
I
man?
think
It's
they've been
not.
cook- I think they've been cooking him up. Honestly,
Yeah,
Yep.
I think it's
they've
time.
been cooking
I
him
think
up
it's
in the media
time.
for a
Good,
while.
good, because I think it's time.
If it feels like John has had a lot of struggles getting a good cohesive staff together offensively and defensively the last few years.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's the
mean,
question is who do you bring in? Like who are you going to bring in? I
Yeah,
I don't know who you bring in for that.
but yeah,
you
absolutely.
you you
I
have to
do
have a
agree.
good candidate. Yeah, it's not easy, especially when you're, a team that's expected to
You,
win a
you, you know
title.
you know
Belichick.
you you know no no no. But anyway, it's
What a
not a
plot
big, and
twist that would be.
I'm not going to make it a thing. But the same way that people are on Caleb Williams for like wearing the undershirts
Okay, go on.
underneath underneath
You
the
know what?
game.
That's so before you enter
I'm
Caleb Williams, let's talk about that. Want to talk
No, no,
about
no,
that
no, no.
next?
I'm not talking. No, no, no. But my point was about Lamar. I want him to. I don't. We all know that Lamar has the most confidence in the world, but I want him to go out into a season and just take it fucking seriously. Don't have that fucking grilling in a regular season. Go out there and earn the. You used to go out there and earn the right to do shit. Like
He won three
you to be.
MVPs, bro, in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. I agree. But go win a Super Bowl.
No, that's
I want
true.
the best for Lamar. I'm not shitting on him for wearing the grill. I just want him to go out there and
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not taking it seriously. I want to see him win. Like we all want to see him win. So I want you to go out that and the two have no. I'm sure the two have nothing. I'm
I
not saying they
think
have anything to do with it. It just like I just want to see him. I'd be tired of watching him walk up to the opposing quarterback after he loses with the fucking grill in his mouth, smiling. He's always smiling after he loses. I don't like that.
I think
Hmm.
with him is, especially in that one against the Chiefs, I think his problem is that he tries to prove to the world that he can win by passing. I'm saying, if you remember that game especially, it's just that in just doing instead of doing what you do best, which is running the football. And that I think once you get away from that,
I
you
I
you
don't
try to
think
be
that I
like.
don't think that I don't think sorry, but I don't think he runs the ball the best. He's an incredible passer too.
He is, but if you remember that playoff game against the Chiefs, they went a little too pass happy there. A little too pass happy.
But
I think he barely
I think
ran.
that that's on coaching, like you were saying. I don't. I'm not
Todd
placing
Munkin.
the.
Todd Munkin, yeah.
Yeah, that's play calling. That's not Lamar.
Yeah.
That's
He
Todd
could still.
Monken for you.
Well, you know what? And then it's Harbaugh then because he's the HC, right? So I
Yeah.
think a lot of it has to fall on him. All right, so
You
let's
just
go
have,
to
you
the
have to find somebody to replace him with. Sorry, but yeah,
so
I
so
just don't
let's
know who you
go
change it with.
so let's go to another epic comeback in the Monday Night Football game with the Vikings and the Bears. That was interesting. That one I actually went to sleep. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that whole game at all.
Epic's
Uh,
not the word I would use.
yeah, so I mean, if you went to bed after like the first quarter, right, you would probably think, oh, McCarthy's got a long way to go. He's got to learn. And then you know what? The Bears look like a juggernaut. That first quarter, that first drive especially. Okay, they seems like they found the right head coach to go with Caleb. Okay, my fantasy team's going to be okay. You know, um, but no, it seems like the flip completely switched in the second half there. What were you guys' takes on that game? Either direction. McCarthy, Williams, Calvin, what about you?
Uh, I okay. After the on the first drive that the Bears had where they scored the touchdown, did I have a little bit of excitement? Yeah, but I was still concerned because he was having to be Houdini and get out of the pocket to make some of those throws. The throw that he made, I think he threw it to Swift out of the backfield, and he was like, he was vertical. It was almost a backwards lateral, and he threw it over the line, over back over to him. He had to make a lot of like stuff happen on his own to make that happen. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so was I thrilled with my expectations for Caleb Williams coming into the season. I saw him make a little bit of magic on the first drive, but it just completely fell apart. And I expect that offense to when he was coming out, he was one of those generational prospects where it was like, hey, give him he should come in and be a difference maker day one. And I'm still not. There's times where I see difference maker, and there's times where I see like, is this dude even better than
Yeah.
Tua? You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's just up and down.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's no
That's
consistency with that
that is
team.
yeah,
Um,
100% with
you
you,
you
Calvin.
yeah, you think DeAndre Swift is going to be a difference maker? Nah, I don't really see it. Roma Dunze, he makes plays and then he
Hmm.
goes away. And they were talking so much about how much went into remaking the offensive line and building this offense around Caleb, and then it just still felt flat to me. You know, I, I'm I from what the way they were talking in the offseason, I was expecting the greatest show on turf Rams, and that's not what I got. So I I thought I saw some positives from Caleb a little bit, but there was still some questionable shit going on in there. So I don't know.
What
I
were
don't
your
know what
takes
to
of the
make
game
of it,
from the game,
honestly.
Lawrence?
Oh man, I watched most of this game, actually. So I actually can have a pretty solid review of this one. So pretty much with Calvin with what he said about the Bears. I mean, Caleb has this really bad tendency to sometimes revert into his bad habits that he has when he tries to make too much happen. Um, yeah, obviously some of that is on the offensive line, of course. Um, but he also needs to learn when to just throw the ball away. Just needs to have better pocket awareness in general. And I just think he just some panics sometimes, and then he just goes the wrong direction. And I never like that. This is a bad trend I'm seeing with young quarterbacks, actually, in general. A lot of these guys just like love to go backwards to avoid hits, and I'm like, dude, that's not the right thing to do because you're just putting yourself in a bigger hole because another defender is going to get there. I don't know if I'm just sounding ridiculous when like old man yells like cloud or something, but I just don't love that trend of guys doing that. I just think you're putting yourself at a real risk of taking a gigantic loss on a first or second down. But Caleb needs to learn that, and he's got to get consistent with it. That's exactly like what Calvin was saying. He's not consistent right this moment. He has his mechanics on, but then he panics and then the mechanics are off. And then that's when bad things happen for him. And I mean, so the Bears were flagged 12 times and had 127 penalty yards, guys. They
Mm.
had They had
Not,
four
it's hard
false
to win like that.
They had four false starts in the first half. They had two defensive pass interference calls. One of them was a little bit, the one at the end was a little like kind of helped Vikings out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but it was the other penalties that were more of the really the frustrating ones for them. And it shot themselves in the foot to lose this game. I mean, it's what the Bears have done, right? And this is what has been their reputation these past few years. And Ben Johnson didn't do a whole lot to quiet that in his first game, but listen, this is the first game as a head coach for Ben Johnson too. So, let's give him some time. Like Mike said, kind of off air, this is week one, so what I would like to see, and I'm sure Mike's going to love to hear this, where the hell was Kyle Manon guy this game? Um,
Give
like,
him the rock.
like Calvin said, we know what DeAndre Swift is. We all know what
Fantasy
DeAndre
football
Swift is.
loser.
He's a
That's what he is.
he's a PPR guy in fantasy that, he'll catch you six passes for like, 50 yards. He'll get you like 10 carries for like 34 yards,
Not if
That's
you need to win though.
but yeah, no, but that's what DeAndre Swift is. This kid, Kyle Manon guy, runs hard, man. He's a seventh round pick, runs hard. What are we doing here with DeAndre Swift, man? Let's get physical here. They are not physical enough. The Bears are too finesse right now. They're not physical enough up front, and they're not physical enough running the ball. And that is probably a lot of the issue here with needing this offense to go. They don't have Marshall Faulk like the greatest show on turf, Calvin.
Yeah, I know.
They don't have that. And that's what they need a Kyle Manon guy to get in there and really start to punish defenders. The Bears need a little bit of a physical presence to scare defenders. I don't think defenders are feeling that way at the front with them right now.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I don't know if you agree with this, but this is the Madden approach that I have to building a team. Is this is how I used to do it when I was playing Madden for the kids. You suck. First year you suck. You suck bad enough to get the number one pick. You draft a quarterback. Boom. All right. Depending on what position you need next, I'm taking a running back or I'm taking a wide receiver. So they already took the wide receiver. So now you kind of gotta maybe go 7 and 10. Be get in the top 15. Get a running back, a premium running back, and then you have your triplets. I like getting triplets. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Oh,
Like
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Detroit has well, you're a Giants fan, but Detroit has triplets.
You don't
they
ever
have
take a running back in the first round, especially high.
you
But
have
whatever.
they have Jameer Gibbs, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even though he wasn't a first round pick, they just hit on him and they hit big. And then they got Jared Goff. Um, Back in the day, you had Peyton, you had Edge, and you had Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that you find the building blocks. If your O line is solid, I think you find your building blocks in the skill position players, and then you go from there. But it's just like I said, I don't. They took Colston Loveland, I think 11 or 12. I think
Yes.
that you have to, if you take these players, you have to utilize them immediately.
Oh, well, the problem with
It's
Loveland
one-
too
it's
is that
one
he
game,
Feed
though.
them the ball. The Bears.
well, he's not healthy either, I believe.
And it's one game. I think
Yeah, but they're already doing in the one game everything that they did last season. So what's this? Why would I think that it's going to change going forward?
because it's 17 games still. You've seen
I know,
teams
but I
look
saw
good or
I
bad in
saw
the first
16.
game.
I saw 16 games of Caleb Williams doing that shit he did last season. And I'm not even here to say that Caleb Williams had a bad rookie year. I guess it's bad for a. It's to say Caleb Williams had a bad rookie season in the same way
You
that
guys know
people
who
say
you
Marvin
guys know who
Harrison Jr.
Caleb. Yes, you guys know who Caleb Williams is, and I've said this right from the jump. Because I never understood this generational prospect. The people said that I think because he can make some really cool throws. Okay, so what? Do it consistently. He didn't win in college in the big games, and I don't like his mental toughness either. But okay, put
I
that
agree.
aside though.
I can agree. I can agree with that
He's
too.
not a winner. He's just not a winner. He will never win a Super Bowl. That I will. I'll kill myself if he wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
about that?
Yo, what?
I mean, I'll go on record
Wait, yo,
saying,
what?
well, okay, that was a little crazy there, Mike. I'm not
Because
gonna
it's
lie.
never. Because it'll never happen.
That's wild.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to get. You know what? I would do that if there's something on the other end. Where if he won a Super, if he didn't win a Super Bowl, I'd have to get like $2 billion because I would take that bet.
wow.
Yeah, I'm
I
not.
would take that bet.
I
I can't bet that far in the future because
I
I don't know. I think he's only like 23 or 24
So
too.
what? The guy's
I,
not a winner.
I,
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about Caleb. You know who he is? He's Kyler Murray. Not stylistically, but quality of player. He's just inconsistent. He has some tools. He's Kyler Murray, guys. He's always been Kyler Murray to me. I've
that's
seen them in
a
the same light.
it's fun. It's an interesting
He's
comparison.
a
I mean,
taller Kyler Murray. That's
yeah,
it.
I kind of like that comparison actually. I do
Yeah, I've
want
always
to
thought of that.
what I do want to talk about the Viking side of things here, though more because we kind of really focused on the Bears here. Wow. So JJ McCarthy, man. What a 180 of a fucking half. I mean, really for this kid. I mean, he had 48 passing yards in the first half, dude, and they had no third down conversions of their eight first third down conversions. And then the Bears had a 94% win probability late in the third quarter. I mean, let's just put that in perspective too. I mean, we're talking about really blowing this game. The Bears really blew this game. Um, partly, but also JJ McCarthy really showed me a lot of mental toughness, way more than a Caleb Williams did. And
Absolutely.
and JJ McCarthy, yeah, no, the final line was not gaudy at all. Right. But sometimes you need to look beyond the stat box. All right. And I think that's we have a problem. We have a lot of box score analysts, right, in football now that like to do that. I think you need to watch film and you need to watch the guy play. I think I see in JJ McCarthy is a very resilient leader that his players rally around. Yeah, is he a little weird? Is he a little kooky? Sure. But you know what? The players rally around this kid. They like him.
doing yoga does not make you weird.
Well, and it doesn't. Yeah, and it's not yeah, it's not the yoga thing. Yeah, he does the
Doing
little
it for attention, doing it for attention makes you.
well,
But
yeah,
I'm not saying that's what he would do.
no, right, but yeah, yeah, he's a little different, but you know what? The guys like him, and they
I would
gravitate towards him.
I would say meditate in the locker room.
He has the
Why are you meditating with all the cameras?
right. He has a presence that like a Sam Darnold did not have. There's sometimes you just have a guy that has a it. And this I think McCarthy has that gene in him. And I don't know, will he ever be a gaudy number quarterback? Maybe not. But I mean, right now Minnesota has
Will he
the
be
tools.
Trent Dilfer?
What the Minnesota has the tools for him to succeed right now, right? And you don't even have Jordan Addison back right now. Remember that. He's coming back in 3 weeks. So that's gonna be
Calvin
another.
sounded like a hater.
No, no, no. I get it. It's
Uh,
one game. I get it. I'm not trying to say
that
the kid's Tom Brady or anything. All right. This is one game. And
my go ahead. I'll let you finish and then I'll
well,
go. My
and
bad.
also I do, past JJ McCarthy's, some of the throw. Well, and you thought the big thing too here was that he got going to Justin Jefferson finally. They had a really tough time getting going together in the first half, but down the second half, you saw them getting really acclimated. And after the game, Justin Jefferson was even like, you know, he's like, he had the top 10 necklace on. He said, you know what, like the other JJ should really have this necklace on. And first of all, I mean, I think that speaks to Justin Jefferson's character and his. I've always liked Jefferson as in general as a player, and I think that
He
shows
just
you.
want the ball.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's part of it too. But but no, I don't know. I think there's these guys actually really like McCarthy. I think they believe in him, and I think that's a big thing. I think that goes a long way. I think we've had situations in the past where you got see guys clearly don't believe in their quarterback, and I don't think that's the case here. They bounced back from a really bad situation and they stood behind him, which was a big thing. And
I
also
think.
Jordan
Go ahead.
Mason looked real darn good running the ball, man. I think Jordan Mason's going to get more and more
In the
opportunities.
second half.
Yeah, as they got it going a little more, Kevin O'Connell got it going a little more. He did. He chipped away and chipped away, and I think him and Aaron Jones are going to be a really solid combo. Yeah, I know Aaron Jones is kind of getting up there now, but he's going to be a great receiving back and a check down back for McCarthy. He's going to be his, like a really good safety valve for JJ, all year, I think. And the running game is going to be paramount to the Vikings' success this year because that's what Kevin O'Connell runs his offense off of. So that they need to keep the running game going, at least a respectable running game to really keep this offense and really like that could be a top tier offense, in that category.
And I think to your point there, I think with McCarthy, he like you said, he didn't put up the gaudy numbers, but it was an intangible win for that team in that locker room. That new era of Vikings football is here, and like you said, this guy is somebody who they rally around. So I don't know how good he's going to be going forward. I think he could be good, but I know this. I think he is a winner, and Caleb Williams is not a winner. That is what I'll say. So moving on, one of three of Calvin's favorite games here, Chiefs Chargers. I know he was hyped to see that.
Oh
I'm sure
man, what?
he probably wishes he was in what was it, Sao Paulo?
Yes,
Hmm.
Yeah, you wish you probably flew down there for that one.
this was
No,
a great game.
but I did have a lot of fun watching it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Xavier Worthy, once he was done, they were cooked. They were
Yeah,
cooked.
you know,
They just have no options. I know you guys were saying, now granted, we didn't predict Xavier Worthy injury, but I know Calvin, you and Steven were predicting, oh, the Chiefs are going to be a little bit better. Or one of you two were saying, like, oh, they're going to be better, like a lot better this year on offense. I said, I don't know about that. I mean, I think they'll be a little bit better, but I mean, Worthy's gone. That's now what do you have? Hollywood Brown, who's not quite. First of all, he was never that great in general, and now he's a little bit
he,
older.
yeah, I mean, he had like almost 100 yards receiving this
Well,
past
because
game.
he
But
had to,
that,
because he had
but
to.
yeah, that's what they didn't have nobody
There's
to throw
nobody
to.
else.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
the,
yeah.
the
Well,
re-
I
the
mean,
rest the rest are plumbers. So
it's well, there to be fair, the Chiefs have quite a few injuries there at the moment. And Rashid
I
Rice
hope
out
they
injuries
for
get
and
the year.
more.
suspensions and
I hope
suspensions.
I hope they get more.
Yeah, Jalen Royals hasn't
Yeah,
even
listen
had
to
a
this guy.
chance.
Listen to this guy. Hope they get more.
Oh no, I'm just saying like Royals is like, he hasn't even had a chance, the rookie, to even play yet. He has tendonitis in his knee right now. And so I think when he comes back too, you're gonna see him get involved a lot more as well. But because Worthy, obviously, I think we're seeing him gonna be out for a good amount of time.
I
Well,
agree.
the last thing that I saw was that he was day to day and he might be able to play with the harness. I think they said he
Mm.
avoided surgery.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
that's
but
probably
his
that's probably
game
going
is
to be a
predicated on
lingering injury.
speed. His game is predicated on speed, so I don't
Yeah,
like
but
his sense of that at all.
what kind of speed what is your shoulder going to have to do with speed? His legs is still going to
That's
work.
true.
I think that the concern with him is he's presenting as fragile right now. You know, if if
And it's from his own
if
guy
him running
too.
a yeah if you're getting that could have been a season ending injury from crossfire with your own teammate on a on a mesh route, then I I'm not saying that.
Mm.
What's a tackle going to do to you when you come back from that injury? Um, but to be fair, like I see with Kansas City, I see a lot of speedsters at receivers. I think Rasheed Rice is a burner. I think Xavier Worthy's like a super burner, but I don't see like a dominant X receiver. And then you have Juju Smith and Travis Kelce there, just kind of holding it together. Um, but to me, the I'm glad that the Chargers came out with the game plan that they did because I thought they were just going to be run, 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 run every play. And Harbaugh came out and he was just fucking letting Herbert be Herbert. And that's what I've been. That the last season they tried to implement and they were trying to run way too much for my liking. But Herbert's he's a howitzer. He's fucking 6'6". He has a rocket arm. There's another 6'6" rocket arm guy that I used to know in
Yep.
Indianapolis that I was a gigantic fan of. Um, but he should be throwing the ball. You shouldn't there shouldn't be a game where your rushing attempts are that close to your passing attempts when you have Justin Herbert at quarterback. In my opinion, you want to mix the running game in there a lot, and I think that they did. They didn't have too much success, but I still like the authority that I saw Omarion Hampton running with. It just felt like watching a different. It's different than watching Austin Eckler run the football or the people that they've had in the past. Um, so I was very excited for the way that they looked on offense and Harbaugh, having the balls to do what he needed to do. Um, just can't. I'm never going to count Kansas City out, obviously, no matter how much I hate them. But I think that this was one of those games where it could be a turning point for the division too. And who's to say, that if Slater would have been healthy for the season, I would have loved this. Like I said in a couple pods ago, I thought that the Chargers would have had a chance to win the division, but I hedged my bets on it because Slater got hurt. But the way that Joe Alt played during the game, holding his own,
Oh yeah.
they might still be able to do it. Um, Especially if they get Kansas City, if Kansas City's in a 2-0 hole, because I fully expect the Chargers to beat the Raiders this weekend. Um, and if Philly beats if Philly beats the Chiefs this week, they're gonna start 0-2, and then they haven't even got to the Lions and the Ravens on their schedule. Um, So they're not going to have a big margin for error anymore for the one seed or for anything. So now's the opportunity for teams that smell blood in the water. They gotta start getting to it, and I think the Chargers took great advantage of that. Um, I love that. I love that Keenan Allen is back, making plays on third downs. And it was another. It's not. It wasn't quite to the extent of Justin or Josh Allen. Um, when I said that I feel like Allen is mastering, his craft. But I think that Justin Herbert during that game, that was probably the biggest. That was people are saying that's the best game that they felt like he's ever played. I think that it was one of his best games too, and I think that it does a lot for your confidence to come into the season and be like, hey, we beat the two-time AFC champions, the people who have been a thorn in our side for the last however many years I've been in the league. I think it's a big deal for them being able to pull it out over Kansas City. And then with Kansas City, you see them arguing. I love seeing them argue over, Chris Jones trying to be a hero and make the game winning sack or whatever, and it cost him the game. But fuck it, who cares? Like I love seeing inner turmoil in that team. So hopefully it did. Maybe it's this is the season they implode. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not counting them out. I don't want to say no shit to jinx it or whatever. But the Chargers came in there with the game plan and they executed the shit out of it, and I was very excited about it.
So the Chiefs are looking for a wide receiver, right? There's a certain wide receiver down in South Beach
I was
that
just,
may or may not have been a former Chief. Do
yep.
you think they should trade
What?
for him?
No. What does that? What does that do for you? I mean, now you're trading for a receiver that just got accused of domestic violence from his ex-wife. So
Nobody.
you're
No,
you're
can I
gonna
be?
have a
Wait. Hold up. Can I be honest? It's the NFL, bro. Nobody gives a fuck. Okay, so we stop that right now.
I don't think that that's true in this case because he had a
Oh, they
lot of
do.
drama when he was
Nobody
leaving.
cares.
There was a lot of drama when he was leaving there already. So you invite that drama back into your back into your season, back into your locker room. I don't think that is going to bode well for them. I think you look outside and try and find somebody else. I wouldn't bring that shit back in my locker room. That's just me though.
Uh, Unfortunately, I kind of lean more towards Mike's line of thinking here.
Well, can I say something about that? I wouldn't do it if I was the Chiefs, maybe for a different reason. He's really fallen off, guys. He's not the same player he was like 2 years ago. His
Well,
speed, if you look at
oh
all his
no, I
metrics,
know. Yeah,
he's
no,
really dropped. It's not the Tyreek Hill of 2018, 2019, winning that Super Bowl. That's that guy's gone and he's not coming back.
yeah. Well,
So
I
the
also
juice is
wonder if,
worth the squeeze at this point, you know?
yeah,
I
and
wouldn't I wouldn't trade for him.
I think he's also just a bit checked out there.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, but
it's giving Randy Moss and Oakland vibes.
how old was Randy Moss though when he went to when New England? Let's see. Randy Moss, age 2007. He was 30 years old. And what's Tyreek Hill, 32?
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill age
yeah,
31,
there you go.
31.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
okay.
Randy Moss had severe CTE by the time he went to New England either.
And not only that, no disrespect to Tyreek Hill, he's not Randy Moss, okay?
Oh, I
He's
know. I'm just, I'm not
yeah.
comparing him to Randy Moss, but
Yeah. I so
well,
I don't see it.
well, I think another big talking point here is for the Chargers is kind of the receiver. distribution here was I thought was quite interesting. Um,
Yeah.
so do we believe Quentin Johnston is for real?
No, did you not see
No, but
that
I paid
LOL? Did you not
$25
see that
for him.
LOL? Did you not see that LOL I put in that comments?
Yeah, but
The
you
fantasy?
still try to get him.
How much? How much? Go check how much.
That's the
Go check how much.
it doesn't
Go
matter.
check
You
how
still
much.
try to
Go
get him
check
on
how
your team.
much. Go
That
check how
doesn't
much.
matter.
Go check how
It
much.
doesn't it
Money
doesn't
matters.
matter.
It's the
It
money
doesn't
always matters. The
listen,
money matters.
listen. You put stock in what you saw from him from that performance enough to want to put in a waiver wire request for him. So you think that there might be something there. I'm not saying it was $28 worth of
No,
thing
it's
there.
nothing to do with
I'm
that. It's I
just
have
saying.
no depth. I have no wide receivers on my roster. That's why.
So there was other players that you could have picked, and
And
you
I
picked
and
him
I
for a
and I will
specific
get
reason.
him. And it's not worth 25 because he's never having a game like that again this year.
I'm sure it's not worth 25, but I got him on my team, and you wanted him on yours. That's my point.
Not real, not that much. Not as much as you
Uh,
did.
I think the issue with QJ is that he's just not a natural hands catcher. I mean,
Exactly.
he just is. I mean, he catches everything with his body, man. It's like it's so
He's
frustrating.
never having a game like that again.
You know, it's just he has this game and then he'll have another game where he drops three of them. You know, dude, I'm telling you, this guy is not. He is such a sham. I mean, I know if I love his talents like that he has. Otherwise, like he's got the profile and the route running and just the run after catch, but he doesn't have the catch part down. And that's the problem. And you know, it reminds me of like Braylon Edwards when he was with the Browns. You know, it's just such a talented receiver, but just doesn't have the hands, the natural hands at all. And I think that's what Johnston's ceiling honestly is.
Yeah.
And
So
it's just
yeah, I
it's
agree. I
frustrating.
agree.
And it's funny the you know they drafted two rookies in Trey Harris early in the second and then Keandre Lambert Smith later, but it seems like Keandre Lambert Smith was seeing a lot more opportunity than Trey Harris was.
Through game one, yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I
so
thought
that's
that
gonna
was
be
a
something to watch.
very interesting development there. You know, and that just further complicates that receiver room, you know, having Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, of course, you know, as great as Lad is. So now it's like you got a lot of targets for Herbert now. And I think, you know, Calvin was probably right. And I think you're going to see them coming out and throwing a lot more now. Where Omari and Hampton, like he said, he's going to definitely get carries, but I think like he said, he's going to let Herbert do his thing, man. If he's got an MVP quarterback, possibly, why not let him sling it, you know?
He's another one, Herbert, who, some people like say I may be one of them, may or may not be one of them, who has to kind of beat their demons in terms of playoffs and big games and things like that. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let's go to another quarterback who, not a young quarterback, one of the oldest quarterback in the NFL,
Oh my
Steelers Jets. So how about this, Calvin? Calvin was happy three times this weekend. I'm telling you, the Chiefs losing to his second team, the Chargers. His boy Aaron Rodgers getting his revenge on the Jets. How'd you feel about that one, Calvin? Calvin, is he gone?
I well, he's muted right now. So
He's on
I
mute.
will
Oh,
I will
this
take
was for him. This was supposed to be for him.
well
Set him all
well
up.
well I'll take it from here.
Okay.
Well, I think does Aaron Rodgers still have it? Um time will tell. Um I think this was a game, you know, considering, they were playing the Jets, you know, I don't think the Jets are a team that really I fear, and this is another game they blew. The Jets have blown yet another game in the fourth quarter. They blew two leads in the fourth quarter actually.
Hey,
And they
I'll be back. I got to get off real quick.
yes sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Um but this is a story of the Jets, man. It's just constant miscommunication. It's constant shooting yourself in the foot. And it helped Aaron Rodgers a lot. And I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers didn't have a good game, but it definitely helped that the Jets had clearly had some communication issues and just bad plays down the stretch to really just screw this up. And what did you think of Justin Fields, Mike? Um, how he looked?
I tell you, he looked better than I thought he would. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of him coming into the year. I kind of thought, and I think most people probably thought this is his last chance to really make it as a starter in the NFL. So for him to kind of come out of the gates like this,
Yeah.
I think is pretty impressive. I mean, again, it's just one game, but it's as good as you can get for week one. Obviously, didn't get the win,
I mean,
but still,
16 to 22 is pretty darn efficient. I will give him that, man. That's,
yeah, yeah.
and I think he did enough, and it's too bad that it didn't happen for them, but I think there was something good to at least look at there. Um, I mean, I think if you're a Brees Hall fantasy owner, I think you're panicking right now.
I
Be-
think you should have been panicking when you drafted him,
um,
honestly.
because I think Justin Fields, as soon as they signed him, I think you should have been panicking about Brees Hall.
Yeah.
Because Justin Fields is clearly going to be running a lot. It's always has been the story with Justin Fields, and I mean he had 48 yards rushing. That's always going to cut into your running backs, and
Hmm.
two of them touchdowns, you know.
And then you
So
got Braylon Allen too, who could cut
yes,
in.
yes, and Braylon Allen has been, developing it very well for them. More of a three down back type of archetype than Brees Allen is. And, it makes you wonder, is Allen maybe, I mean, Brees Hall on the trade block possibly, come this middle of the season? Who knows?
I was thinking that too, and I was also thinking about, well, I guess that was before the Tank Bigsby trade, but I was also thinking if ETN was on the trade
Yes.
block
Oh,
too, which
I
they still
assume.
could. They
Yeah.
still
Oh,
could, I
I think
guess,
you
because
could see that.
yeah, because they have Tootin and they have the other running back that they
Yeah,
drafted,
LaQuint.
right?
Yes, LaQuint Allen. Yes.
Right.
That's from
So
Syracuse, and who's gonna be catching a lot of passes, and they actually have said he's going to be playing the slot some as well. So interesting development there out of Jacksonville also.
exactly. I have a lot of high hopes for Tootin because
Yeah.
I just think he's such a dynamic speedster that like I
Yes.
really think, he could take ETN spot like fairly easily.
Yes.
But let's go to, you know what? Let's go to your game. Let's go to your game. Browns Bengals. Browns Bengals.
Oh, oh
So the
man.
Bengals were 1-11 weeks 1 and 2 under Zach Taylor. And of course, to finally get the second win, it has to be against your team, right? What did you
Yeah.
think? What were your takeaways?
Well, listen. Man, this is one that it's one stings a little because I just the team overall really did play well, and that's the thing that you hate because you hold this Bengals offense to 16 points, man. 17 points, and you got to come out with a win on that, right? Like this is a team that is going to have an offense that puts up a lot of points on teams all year, and you shut them down. I mean, Jamar Chase couldn't do anything against Denzel Ward. I mean, Denzel Ward has locked up Jamar Chase every single time he has faced him. Um, Jamar Chase has even come out and said that the worst corner he has to face is Denzel Ward. And it proves it every time after time because the stats prove it.
Hmm.
And man, it's like you're just like, how did we let at one point, Mike, Joe Burrow got sacked 3 times in a row and almost got put into the end zone on the last one on a safety. I think Myles Garrett had 2 of those, I believe. And it's like you just got to win games when you do that, man. And that's what kills me here. And then, and I get it. Kicking in the NFL is not the easiest thing in the world. I get it. All right. I know this is a lot of pressure here. I know kickers are people too. All right. But man,
Allegedly.
you get when it's a 35-yard field goal, 35-yard extra point, man, you got to make those
Yeah.
two kicks. It's just plain and simple. He's lucky he's getting a second shot this week, to be honest, Andre Schmidt, and I hope he makes the most of it. I hope he redeems himself. Truly, obviously, for my sake, I hope he does. I'm not crazy about the decision. I would have brought in guys as soon as that game ended. Maybe I'm a little heartless, I don't, maybe I'm just frustrated from the years of, one score games that they should have won. But
How many times have y'all won game one in like the last like 10, 20? Probably
nah,
not much, right?
not enough times.
It's crazy.
Um,
I feel your pain as a Giants fan. Won it like two times, I
it's
think, in the
frustrating.
last 10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And it's just frustrating because like just you knew you had Bengals on their really bad day and you had them, and also the two interceptions for Joe Flacco were not Joe Flacco's fault. They went off both the hands of Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy. So that's what the box score is not going to tell you if you did not watch the game. Joe Flacco played pretty darn well for what it's worth. And the running game just never got going, and Flacco did his best to, keep things afloat. And yes, Jerome Ford, he was horrible, and that's why he stopped getting carries, and that's why they ended up getting to Samson. And while Samson wasn't amazing on the ground, he had a ton of catches for like almost 70 yards, I believe. And that was just a big deal. And then Harold Fannin, I mean,
I was just gonna say, how do you feel about the kid Fannin, man?
Harold Fannin, man. I mean, I've been touting about Harold Fannin since before the NFL draft, man. Watching this guy at Bowling Green, I tried telling people, I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter what level of competition this guy has played. Um, and when he had played great competition in college, he did well against great competition. He's just a great player. And this is a guy that I think the Browns have high aspirations for. I think he's a guy that you can use all over the field. Um, and you could just use him in so many a variety of different ways. You can use him in line. You can use it, you could split him out. You can even give him handoffs. He's that versatile. He has that run after the catch ability too. And you could get him in open space and he can work, and I think he's only going to get better. He's so young too. He's only in his early 20s. So it's amazing to see that the possible potential that Fannin has. And it even cut into David Njoku's target share, which was a big surprise, I think, for a lot of people. Um, let's see how next game goes. We're playing Baltimore next. So, I think there's going to be some, changes there. I think target share wise, but I think Harold Fannin's going to be very much involved this season, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of teams.
I agree. What do you think like fantasy value for him? Because I know we're not really strictly a fantasy show, but what do you think? Like, because I saw Chaz picked him up in my league there. He
I
scooped
I
him right up.
I also picked him up in my league at my job. I do think the sky is the limit for Harold. I think Jerry Jeudy had some good catches, but he also had some big mistakes this past game. So and Joe Flacco looks to the tight ends. Flacco is always going to use the tight ends. And I think Fannin is going to be that guy that when they need a guy out in open space, he's going to be one of the go-to guys, I think, along with Dylan Sampson as like big time safety valves.
Yeah. No, what do you like from your week one performance here? Do you change any of your expectations on what the Browns can be this year, or is it pretty much the same?
It's pretty much exactly where I'm figuring. I figured this was a game that it was gonna be close. And I was hoping they'd come out with it. They didn't, unfortunately. Their early season schedule, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough, but I think the Baltimore game could be a game they could win. I really do believe that, especially the way the defense has um, played against Cincy. This isn't the Bills defense that Baltimore's facing now,
Right.
Yeah,
But here's the really the biggest question that people want to know. Who's the next quarterback after Flacco?
I believe it's going to be Dylan Gabriel, 100%.
Really? Okay. And what week?
You know, so the first 5 weeks are going to be really brutal schedule for the
Hmm.
Browns. I know we got
When's
the
their
pack.
bye?
I know they got the Packers coming up. I think it's week 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me right now, but I'm pretty
I'll
sure
look it
it's
up. But do you
um
think that's what you're thinking? Like somewhere
I,
maybe around there?
I think you could see it happen around there. Maybe even a little before. Um, depending, I
You're
think that
right. Week 9, by the way, week 9.
yes. Okay, well, okay, that's what I thought. Oh, no, I think you could see around the middle of the season they're going to evaluate things. Are they playoff bound? Are they in a situation where
Playoffs.
they have playoff? Oh, listen, I'm not gonna, I think it's not out of the question. I mean, it could happen. Anything could happen. I think when you have a defense like they have right now, I think anything could happen. They've tightened the things up for last year defensively that went wrong. You can clearly see that.
God, that is a tough. Well, this was really the one to win because that's a tough 4 weeks, man. Wow.
It is. It is. Yeah, they do have a very, very tough early season schedule, and I think it's
Vikings maybe would be the game to get the kid in. I mean, that's tough too. But
yeah.
Steelers,
I wouldn't.
Dolphins is the one. No, Dolphins is the one. Dolphins is the
Yeah,
one.
and I think that could be what they're possibly looking at too on that schedule.
Yeah.
And I wondering, maybe is that the time they try, hey, let's maybe try Gabriel and see. Yeah, because it seems like the brass came a little more impressed with Gabriel's composure. Whereas I think Shedeur, and I'm not saying Shedeur is bad, and I just think
Will
Shedeur,
Shador start? Do you think he will? Will he start a game this year?
I don't think so.
So you think it'll
Um,
be Flacco and then Gabriel? That's it.
I think unless something really crazy happens, I mean, unless or like Gabriel gets hurt, hey, anything could happen. Obviously this is variables like that, it's hard to judge, when things like that happen, anything could happen in that realm, to get a guy hurt and then Shedeur has to come in.
Yeah.
But I think don't I don't think it's gonna be like for any other reason right now, it seems like.
Not to make it all about Shador, but I just don't see Shador being part of the Browns next year. I don't. I
I
don't.
don't know. I'm not sure how everything's gonna go on
Yeah.
that. I think everything's really up in the air with that at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're just playing things by ear right now, a game by game basis, and I think they're just gonna continue to see what happens. And you know, I think you'll be kind of see by the middle of the season, kind of what direction they're gonna go in. Obviously now, Quinshon Judkins has actually signed and has started practicing
Yes.
as of today, um, which is a big deal for the Browns.
They
Um,
need a running game
yes,
desperately.
clearly Jerome Ford is not that.
No.
As we have continued to see, I've never been a gigantic Jerome Ford fan personally. And I'm kind of glad that it's finally happening. It seems that they're coming to their senses, realizing that Ford was not the. I'm almost, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I almost wish they just kept Nick Chubb for another year, and I'm saying that,
I
partly
mean,
as I'm biased toward Nick Chubb and I love the guy, but I
he
just
wouldn't be a bad guy at least to have in your rotation, you know? So
and
I feel you on that.
honestly, Nick looked pretty darn good in his first game with Houston, man. He with his
He
limited
did.
carries, he had a pretty good showing. So, let's not count him out yet.
Shout out to him, man. Those
I
those was it two knee surgeries, right? The
Yeah,
one in
yep,
college, the
yep.
one a couple years ago.
It's
Was there
just
a
he's
third? It was
yeah,
two, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep, and yeah, so he just keeps on trucking, man. It's just Nick Chubb is a different type of
God bless him.
human, man. I think it's hard to find guys built like Nick Chubb, mentally, physically like him, and and I just it's saddening that right now he's not a Brown, which I'm sure will obviously be um off fixed at some point in the future to end his career at least. But
Hey, we were actually having a debate, me and Steven, I think it was 2 weeks ago. We were saying like who's the best Browns player of all time? And I was saying I think Miles Garrett, I don't know if he is already, but he has a chance to be I don't know if he'll pass Jim Brown, but he could be the second best Browns player of all time. And I know Joe Thomas is up there too. How would you rank those guys? Like, what would you rank them?
I wouldn't have an issue. I mean, putting that. I mean, obviously, what Miles is doing right now is
Yeah.
generational.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty insane. You can absolutely put him in that conversation. I mean, Yeah, I mean Jim Brown is, of course. I mean, obviously, we all know just how unbelievable Jim Brown was in his very brief 9 years in the league, and it just the impact that he made in such that short period of time. And I don't know if we'll ever see it, Jim Brown type of
Yeah,
impact. And of
probably
course,
not.
but yeah, no, I think you're very much correct in that. I think he's already there. I mean, I think he's going to further cement it at this point.
You think
It,
he'll
it,
pass Joe Thomas?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Joe is always going to be up there, of course, but I think Miles is just doing things that we haven't seen before in general. I mean, it's just it is unbelievable. We are witnessing like a once in a lifetime type of athlete playing the position right now. Um,
And-
when we
Yeah.
when we see him,
Yeah, and he was somebody like that even in like high school, college, like he was so highly ranked and he lived up to it. He lived up to the hype, you know.
right? Yes.
A lot of times you don't see that with guys, but he's somebody who definitely did. I know there was I know it was kind of interesting. It got a little dicey there in the offseason. How seriously did you take that? Did you think that he was gonna
Uh,
go or what?
I was like kind of on the fence with it. I was kind of like,
Mm.
hey, I have a feeling that they could maybe get this done. And then I was like, but you know what? If they can get a package for him, why not?
Yeah.
You do what you have to do, and as long as the package is better than what Jerry got for Micah Parsons, then that's
Yeah.
yeah. But
I mean, that's yeah.
alas, but um. I think eventually, I think they was going to come down to just, you know, I think Miles did want to stay in deep down, but I think he also was just, he was definitely looking to be on the same, like the top paid as how his position, is.
Yeah.
And
I just didn't want him to go to the Eagles. I remember people were like, "Oh, is he going to go to the Chiefs? Maybe the Eagles trade for him." Like, "Oh God, no."
yeah, no, thankfully that did not happen. I'm glad it,
Yeah,
I know it was a good amount of money, but the way they're working on their cap, it's not a bad. It's really not a bad investment.
and that's your guy. I mean, that like I said,
Yeah,
like I know you guys have had a lot of losing seasons, but you know what? You could hang your hat on. That's like one of your guys. That's going to be one of your forever
yeah,
guys. You know,
yeah. Right. And I, I,
most
I,
people aren't old enough to see Jim Brown and Joe Thomas. He's great, all timer, but he's a tackle. Okay,
yeah, right,
nobody's like
right.
seeing a tackle. It's like
Oh, I
that.
know.
You
Oh, I
know.
know. It's not. Yeah, the average fan, right? I get it, 100%.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get you on that, and I think it's. I think Joe Thomas, he really, speaks to the hardcore fan and the type of fan that the Browns get.
Like y'all love him for sure, but I mean, it's not the
Yeah,
same. You know what I mean? It's not. Don't jump off the page. You know, like a defensive end would, or a
yeah,
corner, or a
yeah.
quarterback, or wide receiver. You know what I mean? It's just not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, and it's a shame that Denzel Ward has had to miss the amount of games that he's had because I think we'd also be talking about him in that conversation as well. Um,
Mm.
and it's a bummer that it's just Denzel has had such the awful injury luck that he's had in his career, but when he is healthy, we obviously know he is probably one of the top three in the game at his position. I mean, it's
I can't argue against that. Yeah, I
you
can't
know,
argue against that.
so I'm looking forward to see, but I think the Browns, you gotta bring in some kickers, dude. I'm sorry. You gotta
Some,
try out some guys, please. Like,
find somebody.
yeah, I
Fi
just don't get it. I get it. Dustin
Bring
Hopkins
back
wasn't getting
Vinatieri. Bring back
yeah, Dustin
Vinatieri. What is he,
yeah, yeah.
50?
I was telling my dad, I was like, let's bring back Phil Dawson and see what he's up to. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, Phil
yeah,
Dawson. That's a blast from the past.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But like, Dustin Hopkins wasn't getting it done. I get it, but this kid isn't it either. So it's like
Yeah.
you got to try somebody else out, man. There's got to be someone out
There's
there.
got to be some young kid. There's got to be. There's got to be somebody on the scrap heap that you can get, at least try out. And is there somebody on the practice squad you got?
As of right now, no, he was the guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
he was
don't.
the guy. Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Yeah, then you'll find somebody. You'll find somebody. I hope for your sake. So let's just go back to the first game of the year, Cowboys Eagles.
Oh,
What were your takes on that game? Because like first you had that spitting incident, which
oh God. Oh,
yeah, that was
oh no.
yeah. But the Eagles did manage to come away with the win there. It was closer than I thought it would be, but yeah, what were your takeaways from that game?
Wha- Javante Williams,
Yeah.
is he back? Wow. That was unexpected. And Miles Sanders fumbled definitely did not help matters for him, as well in that backfield competition. And apparently, Jaden Blue has not been too impressive and has
No,
not been
that's not good for my
healthy
fantasy team.
and has not been very healthy. So Javante Williams right now is the guy. It really looks like, and he was running with a purpose. He felt like he was running more physical and a lot less passive than I think because he was recovering from that knee injury. And
Yeah.
I
A
think
couple years ago, right?
yep, and I think he's starting to find that burst, a little bit of a burst in a physicality again. Where I mean, there was points where he was carrying some of those Eagles defenders with him at times, and um, but the thing is, like, um, they need the defense on the other side though needs to stop letting the rushing the game get through their. I mean, it was bad. I know it's Saquon Barkley, but man, they were getting gashed.
Yeah. I
Um,
just I can't believe like the way the Cowboys looked, like because I thought they looked pretty solid. I just can't believe they got rid of Micah like that. Imagine they had Micah.
Yep, right. I know, and I think it's like we can kind of overthink these things sometimes, right? Because like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like he's probably gonna use one of those first rounders to pick just another player to replace
Somebody
Micah.
hoping to
Yeah.
be Micah Parsons.
Well, and this was kind of like, you kind of remember what happened there with the Titans and AJ Brown and Treylon Burks. Like, how did that work out for Tennessee?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
it's like oof, man. That's one I think people kind of forget about in retrospect in terms of some of the worst trades ever
Not in
made.
Nashville, they don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget about how bad that trade was for Tennessee. Truly, I mean, just working it out with AJ Brown would have just saved them so much more hassle in the long run here.
Yeah. And I'm sure Cam Ward would have loved to have thrown the ball to AJ Brown.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story there in Tennessee. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, but then Cowboys did bounce back defensively in the second half, because Eagles only scored 3 points.
Yeah. No, no, it's true. Do you think the Eagles are going to win the conference again and get to the Super Bowl? Or do you think you know, you're going to see another team contend? Because I mean, other than I see the Packers, they had a great week one against the Lions. We can talk about that now if you want to. They had a tremendous week one, and they're the team with Micah now. Maybe I think they're probably the biggest contenders, I think, to the Eagles. What do you think about that?
I think Jaden Daniels has something to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know. They played a lousy team. They played a lousy team. That's what I'll say about that.
I mean,
I
you're
think with
talking about,
Jaden,
are you talking about the reigning rookie of the year that just made it to the NFC Championship game?
I mean, okay, a lot of quarterbacks have got good first years and they go through sophomore slumps. I don't think he's going to be terrible, but I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. And I'm not going to let one game against a disgraceful organization change my take on that. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I could even see them losing in the first game. And it's
Well,
not because of go ahead.
well, the thing is, Jaden Daniels didn't even have like his best game either. He wasn't even accurate as well as he should be,
Well,
and
they
he
they made
still
a
had,
lot of miscues in that game too. The whole
yeah,
team as a whole made a lot of
right.
miscues in that game.
And
I,
he still for two threw for 233 yards, 71
I
yards rushing.
I know,
You know,
I get it, but it's against the Giants. Again, it's not a real football team.
yeah. Well,
It's
I
not a real
mean,
football.
yeah, it's we're gonna see though. I mean, obviously though, Debo had 96 yards from scrimmage.
He did. Well, I'll see this. If Debo can really be a key cog in that offense, a lot of people, they're knocking him. He's just too slow, and now, he's taken a lot of punishment over the course of his career, right? Um, if he can be, and by the way, the crazy thing about Debo is he's only made one Pro Bowl his whole career. I think we think he's a fun player to watch, but he was not even in his prime as good as maybe some people think he was. But I think if he could be like similar to that Pro Bowls level season, even like half of as good, then maybe you're talking because now you have Terry and him. Um, but I don't know. I just don't see. I just see a little bit of a drop off. And now that defense was great yesterday, but again, is against a team that's barely an organization. I'm sorry, the team is terrible. Team should fire everybody. I mean, it's I just don't put a lot of stock to it. Who do they play next week? If they play somebody good next week, if they play like the Eagles or something,
They're
and they did
playing
that.
Green Bay. They are playing Green Bay tonight,
Oh,
actually.
tonight.
So,
Okay.
so we
All
are going to
right.
see very
All
soon.
right. So if they win like 30-13 tonight, then I'll be like, you know what? I may have to change my take a little bit, or at least come off of it a little bit. And if
I
Jane
got
Daniels balls
well,
out, yeah.
and I got to ask you, Mike, are we really kidding ourselves with Russ Wilson here?
Wow. That's crazy. It's you got to give him one more game, I think, at the very least. See, here's the thing: you don't want to put the kid in with Andrew Thomas out. Andrew Thomas. You don't want this kid to get killed. He holds on to the ball anyway, so that's already one red flag. And now you have an offensive line that was. I don't know what the PFF grade said, but it had to have looked like it had to have been the worst graded offensive line. I mean, they were just pitiful. Um, what I suggest though, if Russ doesn't do good this game and he looks lost again and he's missing reads and everything, I would put Jamison. I would put
I
Jamison. At least you have some fun, you know. You know what? Even I find like even Jameis won't be able to make this offense fun. I mean, it just seems like I think Brian Dable's overrated, man. He really is.
Oh
He's
yeah,
not.
well, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, he really is. He's not an offensive genius at all. He never was. I guess the reason he got the job was because of Josh Allen. Do you give him a little credit? All right, I guess you give him a little bit of credit, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how did he not make it work with Daniel Jones? And then you look at Daniel Jones, what he did with the Colts this week. He hasn't looked that way in probably since like 2022. So I mean that doesn't look good on Dable's record. Now I think the final nail in the coffin will be for Dable will be if and when because it's going to be probably probably no later than like week 6 or week 8 when Jackson Dart finally gets the ball right and finally gets the call to start. How does he go out and look? If this guy looks like one of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen, I think that's it because there's it has to be they have to cut bait with this guy because that's to me the only thing that Shane and Dable have on this team in this organization. Like if this guy like let's say the Giants go 5-11 or 5-12, I guess it is now 5-12, but he shows a lot of promise and he's like has some really good games and balls out. Then I think that unfortunately, I know how the Giants work. They'll probably convince themselves, well, you got to bring him back next year because this kid really looks good and Dable has good chemistry with this kid and you got to bring him back another year. This is why he should have been gone last year because then you could have a new GM, a new coach, and potentially a new quarterback if you wanted to go that route. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right, right.
And I
Yep.
think I speak for the vast majority of Giants fans who think that. Now, because Mara, Mr. Conservative, oh, I believe in giving a second chance,
Yeah,
they lasted too long with Eli, and now they're lasting too long with they lasted too long with Daniel Jones. Now
yep.
they're lasting too long with Shane Dable. They don't know when they're too conservative. And for what? Like the thing about the Giants is the ownership. I mean, okay, they're legendary. First of all, the guy in charge now is not legendary. His father was. But anyway, they were only good when two guys were at the helm. Ernie Accorsi obviously built this most recent run with in '07 and 2011. And
Right.
then before that, George Young in the '80s, who by the way, the league made the Giants hire. So it's not like Mara said, "Oh, I want to hire George Young." So what are we even talking about here? They haven't been that great. And to like somebody, I feel bad for like Giants fans who are like in high school because they don't even know the glory days like I do. They just know like, why am I rooting for this team? And I really feel
Yeah.
bad. Um, I don't even know what the hope is for me. I guess the hope would be, well, no, I'm going to be honest. The hope is you turn around this season, okay? But let's just say that's out of play, and the season doesn't turn around. I guess you just hope. You hope Dart does good because if Dart does good, that may save Dable's job. Do you hope he just sucks and then everybody, goes and then you have to find a whole new regime? I don't even know what you hope for at that point. So you know what? Honestly, at this point, I'm just hoping they do well. And I would I bet on it? No, but I just hope they do turn it around and do well because I don't see a good scenario otherwise.
Do, do
So
you do you think it's possible they just redshirt him for the whole year to Dart? Like,
no, no, zero chance. Zero chance because
uh,
you got to realize
uh,
that's Dable's way to save his job.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna have to say, look what I got. I know, John. I know, John. We went 4-13, but look at Dart. Look at him. The last month, you know how Bryce Young balled out that last month last year. Like, oh, look at
yeah,
this. It's just like Bryce Young last year. So you got to keep me. Come on, John. Come on. And
yeah.
that's probably what he's gonna say. You
I
know what would be the worst, actually, just thinking about it, if they fired Dable and then kept Shane, and then you have to keep Dart, and then I don't even want to think about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a whole. I mean, I think you make your point though about not
Yeah,
starting Dart right now because because Thomas I didn't realize was hurt.
yeah,
Is a big loss. And I can actually see, but I think at the same time, man, I think you could at least put Jameis in there. I mean, good
I
Lord,
agree.
he can't be any worse than Russ. I mean,
I
good
agree.
God, man, Russ looked
I
like a
would put
shell of
him.
himself out there.
I would even pull the trigger as soon as halftime of next game
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm not seeing.
Russ had 4.5 yards per attempt, man. I mean, that's what is that? I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, I feel bad for Malik, man. I really do. He deserves a lot better than this organization. There's been a lot of talk about that, like, his outbursts with Dable. Some were on his side, some were not. But I don't have a problem with what he's doing. I mean,
I mean,
the
yeah,
team has been a disgrace. I'm sorry, it has.
someone's got to hold someone accountable there, right? I agree with you 100%.
And to somebody like him who's used to, okay, he didn't win a national championship, but he's used to winning, I mean, he used to play with Jaden Daniels. So, I mean, he's used to good quarterback play too. So
Yep,
to come in with, Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito, and who was it, Drew Lock, and
yeah.
now a really cooked Russell Wilson. I mean, this guy hasn't caught any breaks in terms of who he's playing with here. So I don't know. It's going to be tough sledding, I think. But still going to be try to be hopeful. Maybe Russ finds something. I don't know. Digs deep in his bag, finds something. He's a religious man. Maybe he prays enough to God, and
Yeah. And
good fortunes come his way.
one bright side was at least the defense had 3 sacks.
So that's another thing too. I I was telling the guys, like, as far as like Dart and everything, yeah, I have some excitement about Dart. He's a young quarterback. You never know. But I was more hyped this year about the defensive line rather, because
Yes.
I feel like, you know, that should be like a juggernaut. I mean, that's the Giants' real roots to me. Going
Yes.
all the way back to LT and then Strahan era, JPP, OC,
Yeah. Yeah. Justin Tuck. Yes, of
and
course.
Tuck. But that to me, I want to get back to that. And I was really looking forward to that. And yes, you said 3 sacks, but
Also pressures too.
yeah, yeah. I'll say there's one thing though. Dexter Lawrence did not have a good game, which was shocking. That was probably one of his worst games in a while. But
Uh,
you usually can count on him to have a bounce back game. But that's what I'm looking forward to probably the most this whole year. So if we don't get that, I will be really disappointed. Really, really disappointed. This is a waste of a year if for some reason. Because I actually projected now, probably being a homer, but I projected them to like lead the league in sacks. I don't think that's that crazy of a take, though. I mean, I could see them easily getting top five, at least on paper going into the year. Now, whether that actually comes to fruition, I don't know. But I would be disappointed if this defensive line doesn't turn into some you know some modicum of success here and become a top five, top 10 pass rush at least.
yeah.
um yeah, so yeah, definitely looking forward to that, and hopefully they get their shit together soon, soon. But here's the
Speaking
thing
of,
too, that schedule is
oh yeah,
death row. So
yeah.
there's no easy spot too to put Jackson Dart in at
No.
all. um I don't know what they do. I don't know how
So
Dable survives. I think Jackson Dart balling out is the only way he survives. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So speaking of quarterback issues, I mean, look what we have going on in San Francisco right now. Um,
Yeah, Brock, we've known Brock Purdy anymore for six
Brock
weeks.
Purdy, yeah, I mean, this is a very strange injury. It's a turf toe injury. It's that they don't really quite have a concrete timeline on. They said 2 to 5 weeks. So
Yeah.
this is something that they're going to have to evaluate week to week, it looks like. Leading to now Mac Jones being your starter in San Francisco.
And that's
How
what
do you,
Shanahan wanted all along, remember? That's what they
how do,
remember the people were saying they were
yeah,
trading up for Mac
yes.
Jones, even
H-
though it was
How,
Trey Lance.
how do you feel about that? And do they need another guy in there?
I mean, do they need another guy? Sure, but who is out there right now
I
on the
have a
scrap
couple,
heap?
I have a couple ideas.
I mean, Mac,
Actually,
because Mac Jones is not it at all, and especially you're putting him into this Niner. Historically under the Shanahan era, anyway, they've had a good supporting cast for any quarterback to succeed. Brock Purdy. Some people said he was a system quarterback, right? Because it was a really easy place for a quarterback to survive and thrive. But
yep.
now with a lot of injuries, with Debo leaving as well, it's really Kittle injured now. It's not that same team that it was. So, and Mac Jones is already limited, so I don't see it ending well at all. I think they could. I think the season could really go south quickly. I didn't look at their schedule. Well, I will say this because I do remember previewing them in the beginning of the year. They do on paper have the easiest schedule, just looking at the last year standings, the easiest schedule in like 10 years or something like that. So this is on paper anyway. It is an easy schedule, so maybe that saves them and helps them stay afloat a little bit. But I think that's their goal is they just got to win a couple of these games without Brock to
Um,
stay afloat. But you have ideas for quarterback. Who are your ideas for quarterback?
well, I think it's all going to depend on, I think they're going to have to evaluate Brock's injury, for sure and see, um, well, one possibility I think would be to pick up back up CJ Beathard, um,
CJ
knowing,
beat hard, I call him.
yeah, and knowing that he has had experience there in that offense, I think Shanahan would definitely feel decent about at least having a guy, for that occasion. Um, if for whatever
And
reason Mac Jones is like really bad, um, and then they maybe are thinking we really need someone. Do they make a call to Atlanta about Kirk Cousins? I mean,
hmm,
now listen, think about it. Kyle Shanahan, right?
yes, yes.
Kirk Cousins
Ah, Kirk looked like a shell of himself, though. I know what you're saying. You're probably worth the risk, but
at this point, think, do you think like, is he more of a
no,
steady
I.
presence at least than a,
You know what?
a Mac Jones?
I think it depends on this week because you know who they play, right? They play the
Y-
Saints.
Yeah, so I know
If
it's
you can't beat the Saints, then maybe they will give Atlanta a call.
yeah, I
You
mean
know,
I can see that being at least a stopgap for them, and then they play it by ear with Brock, and
they're lucky they won that first game. That was big because
yeah,
if they win against New Orleans, then they're 2-0.
I
Then they
you
got
know I would have
Cards
said
with
Garoppolo too, but he's with LA now, so
yeah,
they can't really. I don't know if they would part with him, and they want him as their backup. I'm sure. So, um,
yeah. And then you got Cards, Jags, Rams, Bucks. You're looking at the next
oh,
weeks. So
oh, okay. So,
Cards and
yeah,
Jags are winnable. I'm not saying you will win,
yeah,
but they are
yeah,
winnable.
yeah. Well, I want Mac Jones be juiced up for that Jags game, maybe. Yeah,
Right.
maybe.
Revenge.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a little bit of a whack job, that kid, but. I don't know. Yeah, I've never been a big believer in Mac. I just think he's a very I don't know. He's not a very likable person. I think a lot of players see that.
Players
I
can
don't.
sense when somebody's like was bullshitting, yeah, for sure.
I just don't
That's
see
like
him as
Carson
a
Wentz. Think people hated Carson Wentz.
yeah. I just don't see him as a good personality, as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Whereas Kirk is, we all know is like Kirk is very much a charismatic guy, and guys that kind of tend to
Kirko
gravitate,
Chains.
kind of gravitate towards him a little more. So I don't know. It's just something I'm throwing out there. I may be completely up. Maybe it is more of a CJ Beathard situation where they say, "Hey, let's see what Max got," and
Yeah.
we'll try to hold off until Brock is back,
I
and
think
they don't.
that's what they'll do. I think the only way they maybe press the panic button if they like lose. the Saints and Mac looks awful.
Yeah,
Then
but
maybe they have to recalculate.
yeah, but I definitely
But
just
I,
think it's something to
but
look
even
out
then
for.
yeah, sorry, even then though, they at least they won that week. I think they'd be in real panic mode if they lost week one and then they lost to the Saints. Because
Right.
then the season could go down real quickly. Because then you got the Cards, then you lose the Cards, now you're 0-3, 0-2 in the division. Now I don't know where you go. But that week one win was big. Um, just real quick, any other thoughts? There's Falcons, Bucks, Colts, Dolphins,
Um,
Panthers, Jags. Just real quick, any other like
some still,
thoughts?
well, I just got to say, man, I'm very concerned about the coaching situation in Tennessee. Um,
Hmm.
Callahan not knowing um what a catch is incredibly concerning to me as a head coach. Um, that whole challenge situation and that he did should have challenged the catch, that it was
Yep.
clearly a catch. And to me, man, that's it's showing
That's
the
almost fireable. It
it's
really is.
very so much showing the inexperience here. And it felt like that too. Um, they like and then once he also just didn't run the ball once on a drive that started on Tennessee 7 yard line. Um, it's just 28 throws to 21 runs. Um, in Cam, Cam did pretty well. Cam Ward did pretty well for the most part. But a lot of the receivers were just looked very confused out there at times for Tennessee. I don't know if you saw some of that.
I saw a little bit of it, yeah. And
Yeah,
I know
there was an issue where actually at one play, like three of the Tennessee receivers, they go out the block instead of running routes,
yeah. And
which is like
I know Calvin Ridley did not have a good game. I saw
Ridley
that.
didn't. No, he did not have a great game. And that's going to further open the door for Elik Iomenor here, who didn't have a great game here, but as Ridley continues to struggle, and Cam Ward targeted him a lot.
Iomenor, yeah.
Yep.
And Ridley,
And
actually.
also another guy to look out for as we keep watching this Titans team is Gunnar Helm, the
Mm.
young tight end out of Texas. That he actually had a couple to Gunnar Helm, nice deep outbreaking throws. And the thing I like about Gunnar Helm is he's a former basketball player. Reminds me a lot of that profile that Antonio Gates, that Tony Gonzalez had. Um, and I think, he's able to box out defenders very well. And I think Cam Ward is going to look his way a lot as the season goes on for that reason, because Cam Ward is very much willing to make throws like that, as we know.
Cam Ward's a stud, man. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I
Yeah.
don't know about elite, but he's going to be a good. He's going to be a quarterback for many years to
Yeah.
come
Again,
with them.
he's got to relax about trying to make too much happen. That's a thing he's got to work on, of course. But it feels like the Titans coaching staff just looked unprepared, man. It just felt there was just some things that happened there that I hope was just a one-time thing, man, because you can't keep this up throughout a season.
But not that challenge bullshit though. That's bad.
Oh,
That's bad.
it was, and there was just some questionable decisions, play calling wise too for Callahan at times.
Yeah, I would have loved to seen him. Speaking of Ward, play with like Derrick Henry in that era, AJ Brown. Imagine that.
Yeah,
That
well,
was probably the guy they needed.
there was also some drama with L'Jarius Sneed that I don't know if you caught from that game as well. That you obviously we all know that the Titans recently brought him over from the Chiefs. Um, and they asked him about only playing 19 snaps, and he played 0 snaps in the second half, and he was not unhealthy. Um,
Yeah.
he said, I have no control over that. I didn't tweak anything. I'm good. It's a coaching decision. I knew I'd be on a pitch count, but didn't know it would go the way it went. I'm very disappointed. I felt great and I wanted to offer more. Oh boy. Um, not what you
Yeah,
want to
that locker
hear,
room.
not what you want
Let
to
me
hear from your star corner free agent that you brought in.
what that is setting up. I think if Cam goes out and has himself a solid season and they even win like 6 games, seven, he's gonna get rookie of the year because they may give him more points for just not having a great supporting cast and
Th-
not having a great. locker room
It
and coaching staff.
right, yeah, just it there just seems to be the culture in Tennessee right now doesn't seem to be very good. I
No.
worry about the youth there in the coaching staff and the team right now. I think they're working on developing leaders on that team and they're not quite there yet.
So I'm looking just to preview real quick the week coming up. Obviously, so what do you got today? Actually, Commanders or Packers? I'm gonna guess you're gonna go Commanders. I'm going Packers. What do you got?
Oh yeah, this is a close one, man. I mean, we're I think we're gonna have a great game tonight. I mean, this one, it's gonna go either way. I my gut's gonna go with Washington here. Um, just with I just Jaden has pulled some magic in the past in these primetime games. He's really not too not no moment's really too big for this kid as we've seen. Um, and not to say the Packers, I don't think they're a bad team at all. Obviously not. I think Jaden ends up just outperforming Love here a little bit. Um, and I'm curious to see how the young Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt here looks against this Green Bay Packers defense that's appears to be a lot more stout than it once was. Um, that is something I'm very much looking forward to tonight.
He really went off.
Um,
Merritt. Yeah.
one of the fastest rising, I think, stars in football right now is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and
Mm-hmm.
what a story! I mean, a seventh round pick to not to look what we've got now. I mean, they good enough to get Brian Robinson traded out of Washington.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
really exactly. That really
that
says a lot.
it was
And B-Rob
it
was pretty good for them. So
right. And you're basically now you're saying like you're the guy and Eckler's the pass down guy. I mean, that's basically where you're at with this kid, and you go, hey, it's your time now, basically. I think he's going to get even more carries this game, and I think they're going to try to lean on him a lot, and I think you're going to see them try to get him going. A very interesting game for sure. I think one of those Thursday games that actually will be good. So that's a good thing. Thank
I
God.
agree. We don't have many of those. Usually it's the AFC South special on Thursday
Oh,
night,
oh, yeah.
Jags, Titans, Colts,
Uh,
Texans.
yep,
That's what I
yep.
call it. I call it the AFC South
Yeah.
package.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm gonna go. Let's go to score. I'm gonna go. Hmm. I think Packers win, and it is in Lambeau. That's big too. Although it's not cold out yet, but still. I will say Packers 23, Commanders 14.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little higher. I think it's gonna be more of a. I'm gonna say Washington 30. Packers 24.
Pretty much the same margin, but yeah, like just well actually mine's a little bit different. But yes, yours more higher scoring. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a
Browns Ravens
feeling.
though.
Oh wow.
That's gonna be interesting.
You know, yeah, it has been already because there's been a lot of talking going on
Yeah.
already. Grant Delpit said it's not hard to tackle Derrick Henry, which was
Ooh, okay.
and
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear your team saying. You don't want to
yep.
poke the bear.
Yeah. But to be fair, Grant has backed it up in the past, and he's crushed Derrick Henry on occasion. And he did that last year in last October. And I think he's not letting him forget about it. So it's going to be a very interesting um competition here, I think, with Baltimore. There's going to be some high emotion, I think. I think you're going to see obviously with Joe Flacco coming back um to Baltimore here.
Does he still get like a standing ovation there or anything or what?
I'm sure he's going to get um
I mean, he won their only one or two Super Bowls, so I mean,
um
he should.
and for me I think too Jerry Judy also saying calling out their defensive backs as well, basically saying he's not even worried about them. It's like,
Mm.
man, you know, I kind of like that this team is playing with some confidence, even though they lost. I think they know they're good. And I like that. You know what? Maybe it doesn't, maybe people don't like it. Maybe you're going to make fun of them a little bit, but you know what? If you got to play with confidence in this league to win, Mike, right? You know, like you can't, what are you going to go out there and say, yeah, we're going to lose every game. Oh, yeah, we ain't going to do anything to them.
No, you gotta
No,
have confidence.
ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion to even think that guy should say something like that. It's
No, you
stupid.
gotta. No, I hear you. You gotta go
And
out and say something. You don't
yeah,
want to be cocky, but you gotta be
yeah,
confident.
yeah, you know, and I'm glad they are. And I think this 11.5 line for the Ravens is absolutely
Is that what
insane
it
to me.
is?
At,
Ooh.
I think one of the most absolute insane lines of the week.
Um,
And I think if you
I'm
take
not a
it,
gambling man anymore, but I would agree with you because I think it's a division game.
yeah,
I think the Ravens will win, but I don't know. I think I think the fact that it's a division game, just I think it's going to be competitive. So
I
yes,
guess,
I would take the Browns, take the points.
yeah, and I think I feel like they're banking on the Ravens getting angry after this week one win
Nah,
and this week one loss, the blow-in loss and
yeah, I don't see
everything,
that.
and
I don't see
it,
that.
you know, coming at, back at home and this and that, you know, but. Listen, Joe Flacco, no, he's bet this is the moment isn't too big for Joe, you know, and no matter what happens, you know, Flacco has done this a long time. You know, say what you will about Joe at this age now, and but we know that Joe isn't going to be rattled, you know, and he knows this team, he knows his coach. Um, I think anything is on the table here.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not a game where you know, and then you also now have the wrinkle of this
do
Quinshon
it.
Judkins.
Go on record and say who Browns are going to win and what the score is going to be. Go for it.
Browns, Cleveland Browns are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win 24-17.
Okay. Because the Giants are going to win too. Giants 14, Cowboys 10.
Nope,
You know, you know the Giants don't have no offense, so they're going to have to barely. It's going to have to be a defensive effort. Like it's going to have to be the pass rush, like 7, 8 sacks. It's going to have. That's the only way they're going to win. There might be a
oh,
defensive fumble. It might be a sack fumble for
yeah.
a touchdown.
No, yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, and like I said, Baltimore's not playing you know, the Bills defense now here, right? You
Yeah,
know, like these guys,
that's
this
true.
Browns defense is recharged, man. They just look, they got a lot more depth on the line, which is what's been really throwing, I think, teams off. Is that they have the guys that rotate in and out on the line, and it just makes it absolutely tough on an offensive line to deal with that all game.
I hear you. I hear you. And listen, we're
So,
gonna have next week. We're
uh,
gonna have Chaz on, so we'll get his reaction to that
oh yeah.
game. Hopefully for you, he'll be sulking after an 0-2 start for his season. But no, thanks for hopping on though, man. You were pinch hitting, I guess, for Calvin and Steven today. So thanks, bro. Listen, we'll do this again sometime.
All right. Sounds good,
All
man.
right, we're back at you next week. Chaz is gonna be on.